Okay, hello everybody. We're back with another main 6 build. Because of the announcement of the Bubonico, the Fluttershy build is going to be postponed a little bit until I can get my hands on that Bubonico. And until then, today we have Twilight Sparkle. I'll do some running around so you can kind of see. So, we have Dante, because of course it's Dante. Twilight Sparkle is the book in the spell gal of the group. So Dante is the only one that made sense. In appearance, oh, listen, we only got the Cantist, so long beard is kind of the best we got. If you want to run Cantist, I don't think it's bad looking. I think it's, as good, if not better, than the main helmet, but I just didn't want to get it. And I feel like the main helmet is fine. We have the Dante skin. This skin is mostly, this colorization is mostly based off of the future Twilight, as you can tell with the big wings that she kind of grows out more properly when she's an alicorn. Here in attachments, we've got the Targus Prime Cuirass, again to kind of mimic her kind of chest piece when she's all big and grown up, as it were. We've got the Tanukai, same sort of thing. We've got the Eris wings, of course, because of her wings. We've got the Mag Heirloom. This is kind of just to give the head a bit more visual interest. So, least necessary part of this build, if you ask me, or part of this fashion frame. For the Syandana, we have the Rapala. This is to kind of mimic her long, flowy mane when she's older, right? That kind of dissipates like Celestia's and Luna's does. You will note there is some different coloring across this, so I will quickly speed through. We have this purple here. It's Eminence right there. We have this gray from Daybreak. We have this classic saturated pink/purple. We have another Daybreak with that pink. We have this orange coming straight from classic saturated. We have this purple coming straight from Hallows Eve. And then we have these kind of lavender tones coming from Pride Celebration. In attachments, you can see here that we changed quite a bit. This, I believe, is the same purple. This orange is this one here. The tertiary here, right here. The thing about the orange, you'll notice that the wings are orange. We can't change the color of the wings without also changing the color of the chest piece. So, to keep the chest piece orangish in color, we're giving up on the wings being accurate all the way. We have this yellow here. I don't know if I covered the gray, but it's this gray in Daybreak. And then, of course, we have these deep purples from Hallows Eve. For the Syandana, we have this Eminence purple. We have this pink from Gamma. We have this purple from Classic Saturated. We have this Daybreak pink. And then the same for these other ones. We'll cover the Grimoire's appearance really quick. Bop, right here. Right here. Right there. And then, same yellow. Same orange and purple as before. I'm not using a skin. Of course I have the Eschatos, but, I kind of like the look of the book, as it were. If you have a different book you want to... If Twilight is reading a different textbook today, feel free to change it up. For our other textbook, we have the Grimoire. You can see it's the same general colors as the Noctua. Same colors we're using on Twilight. Again, if you want to switch it up, which book she's reading, feel free. The Verdillac first. The Verdillac is here because of its unique combo. If you haven't seen it before, it looks something like this. And I feel like, when you watch Twilight's fight against T-Rex, and whenever Twilight is casting spells, I felt like that kind of fit the vibe. Plus, the Verdillac, when it's all shrunk down like that, kind of looks like a wand, if you ask me. So, going with the Verdillac. Same colors we've been using, just pick them out from the color palette. And then the Stahlta. The Stahlta, especially the shock rifle skin, is the most important part. You can see we're again using the same kind of colors we've been using. So, why is the Stahlta the most important part? Well, let me show you. Doesn't that just look exactly like her big-ass Dragon Ball Z blasts that she fights T-Rex with? And you might go, well, why is the shock rifle skin needed? And let me tell you, I'll show you. Now see, that's like fine. It's not bad. It's just, it's not as showy, you know? So, shock rifle skin necessary. If you don't have the shock rifle skin, then, like, that's unfortunate for you. I'm so sorry, because it's a really fun skin. But you can just use the normal Stahlta then. So, oh, right, and before I forget, our companion. Look! Look, it is Spike. It is our little dragon friend. So here we have, you can see we're using this green off of Easter, using this kind of lavender tone off of Daybreak, using this purple again from Classic Saturated, using this kind of deep green here from Corpus. For our energy, we're using, again, Corpus, and I believe this is the same, and then the same bright green from Corpus. For our attachments, it's mostly, you can see it's mostly just copy Warframe colors, but here on Tertiary, instead, we're using this Halloween green, and we're using that same lavender tone up here. For the wings, to get them to copy the skin tone right. We're using the Parasentinel wings to give him more overt wing action. We're using the Soonest Prime Sentinel tail and mask, mostly just for fun. And I mean, like, if you take him off, you know, Wyrm becomes very wormy. You know, this kind of, it gives him more of a face, I feel. We're using the Vengeful Flame Ephemera because, you know, Spike is a fiery boy. What's our actual build looking like? Well, you can see over here, if we look at the Archon shards, we have ability strength, and ability strength, along with some parkour velocity and some casting speed. The ability strength is nice. It's not super needed. It's just fun. The casting speed is really the only super necessary shard on this build. It just kind of helps make things a bit zippier. I would even recommend like testing around with like a Tau Forged casting speed, maybe 2 casting speeds, whatever floats your boat, right? So when it actually comes to upgrades, we're using Growing Power. That's a really easy, free 25% strength bonus. We're using Truculence to get, you know, since we're going to be hitting that Overguard cap very frequently, we're going to be using Truculence to get that big viral burst. That way we're just covering our enemies with it. We're using Energy Nexus for some help with our energy economy. The rest of our energy economy is going to be patched up with... Did I say Energy Nexus? I meant Arcane Energize. The rest of it is going to be patched up with Energy Nexus over here. Basically, whenever you're not using the Noctua to fight, you'll be regaining energy at a steady rate with Energy Nexus. You'll be killing things easily because you're Dante. You won't be dying because you're Dante. And whenever you pick up an energy orb, usually you're going to be progging Energize. Along with that, we have Primed Flow. You just aren't using Noctua for a long time. Primed Flow helps us build up a really massive energy stack that we can then rely on to, you know, start casting things and go into Noctua, all that good stuff. We do have some duration here, quite a bit with Archon Continuity and Augur Message. Both of those are just to, like, make it so that our buffs over here last a while. You'll notice they have clean 70-second durations on all of them. And it's so clean, so nice. Apart from that, we're doing a lot of strength. We have Transient Fortitude, we have Umbral Intensify, we have Augur Secrets. If you don't want to use Umbral Intensify or you want to use something else, you know, feel free. Using Normal Intensify or using Archon Intensify should probably be fine. We have just a bit of range here with Stretch. This is mostly so that our Dark Verse hits more enemies, and all of our stuff just in general has a bit more reach to it. Same with why we're using Cunning Drift. Cunning Drift is also nice movement speed. With all of that, I'll go ahead and bounce over to the Noctua because it's, you know, a part of Dante. Here you can see we're doing some pretty standard secondary stuff. We have, you know, our standard secondary mods up here up top. We're running Toxin because we're running Archon Continuity. This means we get the Toxin procs and Corrosive procs. We're running Secondary Fortifier so that we can eat through Overguard quicker. Galvanized Diffusion so that we have multi-shot and, we get all of that. Here is where the build is changing a bit. I have swapped, I believe it used to be Carnus Stinger for Pistol Elementalist. The main change, the main reason for that is if we slap on Carnus Stinger, you can see we have 75% status. We get a really solid bump to our slash damage. But at the end of the day, it's slash. Slash isn't the best damage type anymore. And so we just unfortunately are using Pistol Elementalist. Not only does that still get us some extra damage on our slash, but we also get extra damage on our Toxin procs. And, there is an argument to be made. If we come over here, if you drop Archon Continuity, our buff duration goes down to 48 seconds just about. If you're better at managing it, or if you're playing around with some other things, maybe you take off Transient Fortitude for like Blind Rage, or you just leave Transient Fortitude off, and you're playing around with maybe like a lower strength build, or maybe you get your strength from something else, then there is a world where instead of Archon Continuity, you run Archon Vitality, and then we're running Heat on Noctua, and that's obviously going to shred. Other than that, though, pretty standard stuff. We have Accelerated Isotope here, primarily for fire rate. I kind of just didn't want to Forma again. I think, honestly, fire rate is a really great buff here, because this is just one of those weapons where you can just hold down click, and you just hold down click. You could also do tome mods. I don't have a lot of tome mods, I only have these ones. Increase efficiency or increase duration. It's, do it if you want. It's, I don't think, bad. I think, again, you could take this increase in duration. 4 times 15 is, what, 60% duration? So, if you compare that to continuity, you're getting more out of that than you would be out of continuity. So, that is an argument to be made if you want to go ahead and Forma again. Otherwise, throwing on more Toxin damage, throwing on more flat damage with Hornet Strike wouldn't be bad. Throwing on more fire rate with something like Gunslinger. Radiation really isn't great here because we don't really necessarily need it. And of course, we're running Secondary Fortifier. You can run like Enervate. Wouldn't be too terrible if you wanted to run Enervate and then take out Creeping Bullseye, replace it with something else. Deadhead isn't that bad if you can aim. There is, now that we have Secondary Irradiate, I was making this build initially before Secondary Irradiate, but now that we have Secondary Irradiate, there is an argument for Secondary Irradiate and keeping the irradiation damage. That's, I'll leave that up to you to test. I like Secondary Fortifier. It gives us a bit of overguard every time we hit, which we're Dante, we don't need. Mostly this is here to deal the extra damage to the overguarded enemies. There's also an argument to be made about throwing on Magnetic Might. I think Magnetic Might is great. I think especially if you're running Prime Pistol Gambit instead of Creeping Bullseye, Magnetic Might is going to be infinitely better for you because you aren't taking that drop in fire rate that we're taking from Creeping Bullseye. So, things to consider. We move on to the weapons here. The Stahlta. This build is really changing from the Substack blog. We are running Corrosive Heat on this. Primary Merciless. We have our general rifle mods here. We have Rifle Elementalist for more status damage on our heat and a bit more punch through. This provides both for us, which is really nice. If you feel like you don't want to run this, because I understand it's not like the bestest mod. Primed Firestorm is also really good. Primed Shed is pretty alright. There's an argument for running, like, Galvanized Aptitude is also probably pretty good. I don't know how it applies on the Charged Shot, though, is, like, the really big deal there. And then, obviously, the elephant in the room, my Riven. So this is where we're getting our Toxin. If you don't have a Riven, just run the 60/60 Toxin mod in here instead, which is Malignant Force. Yeah, just this is what the build looks like otherwise, right? Obviously, I'm getting a bit more multi-shot, I'm getting a bit more weapon recoil decreased. And yeah, I mean, that's what the build would look like if you didn't have a Riven like this. I do, though, and I think it's fun to play with Riven, so that's what it's going to look like. Grimoire. Again, we aren't running any tome mods just because I don't particularly want to. Here again, we're doing our typical secondary stuff up here, getting some crit damage. We're running Enervate. I think that the secondary fire on this, I think there's some cheese you can do around Enervate, but I'm not 100% sure, so look into that if you want to level up your gaming, I guess. Otherwise, we're also running Corrosive Heat on this, along with some Magnetic to help deal with Overguard, shields, all that good stuff, and give us a bit more critical damage. And finally, Verdillac. Verdillac influence build. I have a crit damage and crit chance Riven here. That means that this effectively fills the role of Galvanized Steel. So again, if you don't have something like this, then run Galvanized Steel. I am running Prime Pressure Point here. Sacrificial Steel also. Oh, wait. My apologies. Brain fart. No, sorry, don't run Galvanized Steel over this. If you don't want to invest the Umbra Forma, then you can run Galvanized Steel here. Instead of this, run Blood Rush. That's what I meant to say. Nearest Contempt, we get a bit more melee damage, a bit more status chance, increased slam damage. Nearest Contempt is just kind of a fun mod, and it's kind of, you know, sort of unique to whips, and so I don't know. I like it. I like it. Galvanized Elementalist, of course. Voltaic Strike, of course. Gladiator Might, of course. Organ Shatter, of course. It's a fun build. I like it. It's definitely not like super meta optimized, but it's fun. I'd say an obvious choice you can make here is just switch out Prime Pressure Point for Condition Overload. With that, we'll look at Spike. Spike is doing some pretty standard Wyrm stuff. Vacuum, Mediray, Guardian. All for keeping us alive. Same with Shield Charger. Vacuum is here just because you want it. Reinforced Bond. We have calculated redirection here so that we can get this, so we can get that increased fire rate, and it's so, so wonderful. Accelerated Deflection is here just to kind of help. I mean, like, we have 2,100 shields on this Wyrm. Might as well use it, am I right? Otherwise, Coolant Link, here to give us extra cold procs. Tenacious Bond, here to give us extra crit. Warrior, here so that we're actually attacking. Cut over to the laser rifle. The biggest deal here is that you get that over 50% crit chance. Otherwise, this is just kind of set up so that we're spreading cold. And we have the highest chance possible of inflicting cold. And occasionally puncture. So, how does this look in testing? Well, let me show you, good friends. Let me go ahead and... So, if you just wanted to do Dante stuff, of course, there's Dante stuff here you can do. And then, this isn't going to do a lot, because of all of the changes made to the guys, right? But that's just Dante stuff. Usually what you want to be using Dark Verse with is you just run into a group of enemies, you throw it down, you use it to get your other bonuses up, like Page Flight. Word Warden, right? You get all that up, and then you can just kind of casually, like, throw down a Dark Verse, throw down a Dark Verse, throw down a Tragedy. You know, kill a bunch of guys. Of course, Word Warden won't fire unless you're also firing. So that is something to consider. Otherwise, the Word Warden is actually a really, really wonderful, like, buff, right? Like, you essentially just get a second secondary weapon, right? Kill that guy. And he's dead. So, when it comes to our actual weapons, we can re-simulate here. You can see we still have our buffs up, so this kill rate is going to be slightly accelerated, but still, Jesus Christ, am I right? You never seen the Grimoire do this much damage, I bet. Or maybe you have. But, and I mean, like, I'm mostly doing body shots here. You start aiming for headshots, that damage gets a little bit better. Our buffs, I believe, are ended now. And so, the Stahlta. Oh, that's not a lot of damage, you might think. That's true. That's because Merciless isn't built up. Let's go ahead and fix that, son, shall we? Yeah, see? That looks a bit cleaner. That looks a bit cleaner. And then, of course, you just kind of sprinkle in some of the main fire shots. And you're going to be clearing through these guys. Do-do-do-do-do. But yeah, Stahlta is a pretty good weapon. Pretty solid. Pretty great. So, of course, last weapon on our roster. Well, before we get to the Noctua. You do this, you do its unique combo, it'll pierce through multiple enemies. It'll be super fun and super goofy, right? Even then, the Verdillac is more for style points than it is for damage. You'll see we are doing damage, of course. That's just what melee influence does to a weapon. Me on melee influence. You know what I mean? Like, so we switch to the Noctua. The Noctua is really great. You can see its alt fire is actually going to do big damage once we stack this up a bit more. Its chaining also is, like, insane. And yeah, you can... The Noctua kills. It kills. Like, easily the most devastational part of Dante's kit, if you ask me. And of course, in actual gameplay, we're going to be, you know, hitting light verses, popping... Yeah, there we go. Popping that viral explosion, you know.
The art of combat must be practiced to truly master the canvas of war.
Again, Wellspring will kind of help patch up our energy here. Make sure that you're using that. Go ahead and do this. You could see the viral go through the walls there and hit those guys, which is just kind of goofy.
Plant the multicoil on the doors. The multicoil is superheating the locking mechanism.
You can see, God, that did half of his health bar, you know? Acolyte already? Or is that something else? Might be something else. You see here, we can do this. We can do this. Get a page flight going. Do this. Do that. Get a word warden going. And, yeah.
Get to the Navar cannon.
Get to the Navar cannon. You can see we got... That's so funny. I didn't think that counted as a secondary kill. But that was a kill from Word Warden that we just got. We can slip through. Okay.
That is capable of destroying the colony in one hit. Do not let that happen.
Oh god. Oh Jesus. Okay, there we go. Kuva Fortress maps, am I right? Am I right? Ooh.
You've reached the cannon. Shut it down before it fires the tectonic shot.
I will note that Arcane Truculence isn't like the best way to be getting viral damage out, but you know, like a Panzer would probably be more consistent. Another way of viral priming would probably be more consistent too, but yeah, we take what we can get, right? Truculence works with Dante. It's not something that you have to like worry about.
The Grineer are no longer in control of that
So,
cannon. Now it's time to turn their weapon back on them. Head to the control center. The command center controls the Navarre cannon's telemetry systems. Use it to take out that galleon.
But yeah, earlier you saw me kind of killing things with the
This
Stahltas
is the
normal
command
fire.
center. You'll need to
Is
locate
they-
all
oh,
three of the
okay.
telemetry keys. Insert that telemetry key into the console.
You saw me just kind of
That's the first key.
taking care of things with the Stahlta earlier and, you know, killing guys with that. And I will try to put some more focus on my books here, though.
You found a key. Take it to the console. Insert that telemetry key into the console. Good. One more to go.
Okay.
That's it.
And you can see we do this, we do this.
Protect the console while I reprogram
Let's go ahead and make sure that we got one of these up. We do this. We do this. We do this. We do that. That's gonna do big AoE damage over there. By the way, the Grimoire's like secondary thing just gets, like it just does it, you know what I mean? It charges up so quick, is what I was trying to say. But yeah, you can see Word Warden is putting in some work, Grimoire is putting in some work, clearing out rooms of enemies. All good things that you want to see. Oh, and I wanted to mention, we have owls, just like Twilight Sparkle. I forget the name of her owl right now, but she has an owl. And we have owls, because we have Page Flight. And I just think that's wonderful. And so we fire the cannon. All of our buffs are pretty much gone now, so we'll go ahead and do this. Do this. I wonder if that works. No, it doesn't. Okay, good to know. Okay. And I mean, that's gonna be that.
The targeting mechanism is out of commission. The cannon
I'll see if I can get a few
The
kills with
Grineer will think
ye
long
olde
and hard before
Verdillac
trying
here.
to use this weapon again.
It's a little difficult whenever they're walking away from you, but... I mean, you can see here, these are Lancers, I know, but that's pretty okay damage for a Lancer, I feel. Go ahead and Light Verse before I perish. But yeah, I mean, you pretty much always want Triumph up. You pretty much want all of your buffs up all the time. Word Warden is really great, like in Page Flight for when you have your allies, and it's all so good. And plus you're Dante. You play Dante and people will love you for playing Dante, you know? Yeah, that's Twilight Sparkle. I know I joke about running Spike a lot in my other videos, and then definitely if you've read the Substack articles, a lot of my things are, or you could run Spike, if I told you what Spike was. But now you know what Spike is. Or I guess you probably always did if you read Substack articles, but Either way. And here, you can also see Twilight in a bit better lighting than in the Simulacrum. We'll show off the Grimoire and the weapons a little bit. But yeah, that's Twilight Sparkle for you, along with Spike. I hope everybody has a good day, and thank you all for watching.